Hey everyone, Dave here. Welcome to a new Rachel Origins video. In today's video, what I want to talk to you about is some of the underrated epics that can really carry you early, mid-game, or even in-game if you have the right gear. I'm going to skip some of the most famous epics like Geomancer and Godseeker Ranieri because like everybody's talking about these. Everybody mentions how great they are and use them in different comps. You've seen hundreds of videos about these champs. So what I'll focus on while browsing the index is champs, epic champs, mostly non-voids, unless there's a couple of like underrated void ones that can like work exactly as good as some of the famous Legos or epic thing games that's not being talked about that much. So if you have some of these, if you vaulted them or haven't built them yet, it's a good chance to revisit this and build them because these can boost your account and help you to progress, and they are not a waste. That's what I'll make sure to show you while checking those epics builds and skills because they will be useful in faction wars. They will be used in Hydra in 3v3 arena. So you won't just like vault them. You won't waste the resources when you get the Legos that are better than them. So without further ado, let's start. Archmage Helmet, one of the best epics. I used him as a seer companion for a while and as a control champ because he applies AoE stuns. So let's check his kit. Speed in arena battles, he can be in your arena, but yeah, it's not that useful. He applies 3 very good buffs. If he goes first on your team, he speeds up the team, he puts increased crit rate, so you can build the whole team with only 70% crit rate and increased crit damage, good for your damage dealer there. His A2, his magic affinity, so he would be weak against force, but he can apply stun if you build him with accuracy. And then, yeah, he just fills the turn meter by 10%. Not that much impactful here, but he's very good for the buffs and the AoE stuns. Archmage Helmet you're getting from Doom Tower Hard Normal. So if you're doing Doom Tower Hard Normal, you have him. If you haven't built him yet and you need that speed booster for your team or AoE stuns, he's your man for the job, unless you have someone else doing it. Stag Knight is being talked about less. Just 2 abilities. He's crazy good in reflex gear or in refresh accessories because he'll keep getting back to his decreased defense and decreased attack. Uh, yeah, a couple of champs who can does the same right now. Those are the only two from Banner Lords. Something else that I'm going to highlight, for example, is that if you have Stag Knight built, if you got him early on and you built him, you don't need to build unless you desperately need them for faction war. Someone like Duke. Duke also applies the same debuffs. If you got one of them and you build them, you don't need to build the other one. Duke got a bit of a different kit. Decreased accuracy is great, and then he has the provoke, and he is defense based, so he's much tankier than Stag Knight. But if you got either one of these and you build them, you don't need the other. Or of course, getting into the void, but she's not underrated. Everybody uses her. If you got a Madame Search to do the same with stripping of buffs as well, then also you don't need to build one of the others. So let's move to the next one then. So of course, yeah, if we're keeping it to the underrated ones, I'm not seeing any here. Yeah. Uh, Mordecai is one of the best HP burners out there, and he places it so he can even place it on weak hits on different affinities. So maybe he's a bit underrated if you don't have a solid HP burner. Uh, Phoenix, I had a dedicated video on him. I think really that he's an underrated nuker. He can be like a great single damage dealer with block revive. His A1 is one of the hardest hitting in the whole game, not only for epics. So Phoenix is a great option there. Yeah. So basically Phoenix and Mordecai if I have to choose for this one. This one, there is nobody that's strictly underrated. Yeah, no. You know about them. Nobody stands out to me that who is underrated from this one. Uh, Here too. Yeah. Here, no much to be said here too. Nobody that I would recommend you investing on. The only thing is that, if I remember correctly, no, it's not that. It's his brother, Basilisk. Basilisk helped me in Faction Wars because he got an AoE A1, and you'll see that pattern. Because an AoE A1, you put him in a stun set fast enough, and he'll keep stunning the waves while you're doing Faction War. So even at 50, with Broadmo to revive him when he falls, he can help you with Faction Wars there. Skinwalkers, yeah, like Hofresh is a good support, but only for Faction Wars. So Basher is not underrated, but if you don't have Warlord, you can use him for Arena. He's a bit niche, but he's useful there. So the only epic that stands out for me is Sandlash Survivor. She used to be talked about much more in the past, but not anymore. But she's one of the best epics in the game for support, involved in a lot of clan boss traditional comps, defense on all battles by 25, that's great. That passive is just great. Ally protection buff on all allies for 2 turns when they drop beyond 50% HP and block damage on her. That's very clutch in arena and everywhere. She decreases the duration of enemy buffs and increases the duration of ally buffs. This is so powerful, this move, and it does hit hard. And this has a provoke on it. So Sandlash is one of the best epics. If you don't have many epics in this faction, if you don't have enough ally protection epics, definitely go with Sandlash. The other one worth mentioning here, I'm good that I noticed it, Vrask. Vrask helps me. He's in my current Eternal Dragon team and a couple of others. Uh, this A1, it's all about it. Disable his A2, it's useless. It's all about his passive, which heals all allies by 10% of this champ's max HP. How I built my Vrask, I can actually show you. Fast and relentless A1ing all the time. And tanky with a lot of HP, because what will happen there is that he will heal everyone by 10% of his HP. Let me find my Vrask here. So yeah, he's actually wearing one of my best relentless gear. Check this. He got almost 90k HP. That means that for each A1, he's healing all the team by 10k. And if you got a relentless proc, he keeps healing them and healing them. He must crit though to apply this healing. So what you need is him. Relentless is favored if you can have the stats with it. If not, just make him fast. As much 100% crit rate and as much as HP as you can get him to. That's all you need in Vrask. He's really underrated of how much heals he can provide to the whole team. So that's from the orcs. Let's check here. Akos as an HP burner, he's a bit underrated. And Achak. Achak is amazing. Achak, I was using him before I got like my solid Doom Tower hard waves. He mostly does the freezes, not the HP burns, but he freezes all the teams. He keeps them CC'd. So one of the strategies for Spider, for example, if you cannot get a better one, like if you don't have the Cold Hearts, the Loyal Guards, the Acrisias, you can apply HP burn with a different champ. Um, in my current Spider team, he's actually paired with Mordecai. Mordecai applies the HP burns, he freezes them out, and they just die without even taking a turn. So he's an amazing control champ that I was using fast and accurate for Doom Tower hard waves. And I think he's underrated. He's not being talked about much. A check. Um, Undead Hordes. Uh, an axe is good for clan boss, but and Vogus. I'm not sure if anybody is talking about Vogus enough, but he's an amazing healer as well. Between him, uh, let let me show the bit. Between him and Vrask, they can keep the whole team alive. He's very good for Bommel. Basically, he applies the team with 50, he heals the team by 50% of the damage he's taking. How to build your Vogoth? Did slow because you don't care if he takes a turn or not. In curing set, if you can have it to increase his heals, and then just curing set and whatever, as much HP as you can give him. I've seen Vogathis was like 100k or more HP, and they can sustain the whole team. I've put some accuracy on him because I'm using him for CC as well. But yeah, no speed is required, no accuracy unless you want him. Only for the heals, just stack him with HP in a curing set, and that's it, and you're good to go. Okay, who else there? Yeah, Dark Hale is not really underrated. He's in a lot of in-game teams, so nobody actually really underrated there. Uh, Miscreated Monster. Miscreated Monster, people stop talking about him because there's a lot of different strategies now to handle Spider. But back in the day, over 2 years ago, this was the MVP for beating Spider. He applies AoE stuns. He will prevent you from getting those poisons from the spiders, while Cold Hearts or Armigers or different champs are doing their work there. And then he applies a life protect, continuous heal on himself, and he also applies a shield based on the damage he does on this. So, so underrated now, still a great champ for support and for CC. And if we talk about this, let's go back. Is he in Sacred Order? Of course, Armiger is talked about a lot. He's one of the best. I've built actually two Armigers early on my account because I wasn't lucky enough to pull Cold Heart till after I got Arbiter. So he was the Fire Knight and the Spiders like support for me with his A1 decreasing turn meter all the time. You can also build him tanky and relentless, and he'll keep controlling the turn meter. So here, I think Melga is hugely underrated. Am I mistaking her for someone else? No. Yeah, no, I think it's Melga. Melga got a two-man revive here, five turn cooldown with a shield. She got a shield and a continuous heal. And yeah, just stack her with HEP. She got the HP aura. She's really underrated. So yeah, she's great support. If you don't have anyone else, you can use her for Faction War, for Doom Tower Heart, or everywhere else. The other one that's a bit new is Morag. And Morag is really great because she has a light attack, she applies strengthen, and she hits hard. I'm using her on the Acrisia account because I got her from that fusion, and she's really good and I think a bit underrated there. Maybe the only one who I think is underrated here. I like Hutatasu and I used him for Faction Wars. He applies increased defense and continuous heal on the whole team. And yeah, decrease attack and leech, but it's mainly this. His great support for this, and yeah, defense on all battles by 25%. So if you don't have those kind of buffs from a defensive champ, he's a good option for this too. That's not being talked about much. For Sylvan Watchers, they're still new. I'm not familiar with all the champs there. As I said, I didn't want to mention like um, 10 or 20 champs that are already being used from the epics. I just focused on the few that are not being talked about much. Actually, I have one more who's Void, and I don't think She's mentioned enough. I think she's in Banner Lords. Yep, Ursula. Ursula the Mourner is one of the best revivers in the game, period. She has a light speed and Doom Tower. She revives all the dull allies on 5 turn cooldown and puts increased defense and strengthen on them, applies decrease attack on the enemy if you have accuracy on her, increase attack on your team, and then she decreases the enemy's turn meter. She's one of the best revivers and support in the game because she's sort of like outshined by other support champs in the game and revivers. She's not being talked about much, but one of the best support in the game. And I'm not talking only faction war, I'm talking everywhere. If you have Ursula the Mourner, and if you're not using her but you're lacking the support and revive, definitely use her. I guess that concludes my short list for underrated epics that can help you not only early or mid game, but also going into end game. I hope you liked the video. I'll see you in the next one.